Hello, my name's Andy. Welcome to episode 78 of Keeping Water. This week has really been a week of not getting jobs done. Well, pond jobs at least. A combination of a big garage sort out, a frozen shoulder as a result of the garage sort out, and really low water temps have all meant I've not got the jobs done I'd planned for this week. So I've not cut the plants back, which was my number one job for this week. It's really because I've been really reluctant to get in the pond. The water temperatures have been really low and I've not thought that'd be much fun, especially as cutting the plants back can take an hour, maybe an hour and a half sometimes. I could theoretically cut them from the side, but a combination of the heron fence getting in the way, my back and me really not wanting to lean over to do it, and a previous time when I managed to cut the liner when doing it, all make me think it's easier to do it when I'm in the pond. However, as I've said, the water temperatures have been really low and I've really not fancied it. Now, I normally cut the plants back before Christmas because that's when the last of the leaves will have fallen from the tree and I can take the netting off. However, this year I didn't take the netting off till after Christmas, and by the time I had time to start cutting the plants back, we were into some really low temperatures. Anyway, I may still get it done, and maybe in time for next week's video. We'll see how it goes. Again, I haven't tidied up all the earth around the Tempest outlet pipe. Again, it's a job easier done when I'm in the pond. So that will wait until I get in the pond to do the plants, and hopefully I'll get it all done in one go. On top of that, the other likely topic for this video was the new fish. And again, they haven't come. So they're obviously not included in this video. I'm fingers crossed again that they'll come in time for next week's video, but you know, it's probably not a bad thing they didn't come this week because the weather was really cold, so it's not the best time to be moving and introducing fish, although I'm sure they would be all right as well. So I'm looking forward to the email, I'm looking forward to finding out, and I'm looking forward to sharing it all with you when they do eventually come. What I have managed to get done this week is to get some underwater footage, which you can see behind me now. Now, I've spent a lot of time trying to get the colour grading and white balancing right, to get the image just how I want it really. And I think I'm pretty close now. It's not perfect, and I still prefer the old footage I got from my GoPro, although I still had to do some editing of that, but I'm a lot closer. And when you think I've actually now got a camera that works all the time, which is a bonus, and it films in 4K, although I edit it down to 1080p for these videos. You know, I'm pretty happy with the camera I've got now. I've just needed to do a bit of learning really and experimenting, and I think I've got the footage how I want it now. As I think you'll agree, the fish look pretty well. Although they're swimming quite slowly, they are reasonably active for this time of year. When I shot this footage, it was about 3 degrees in the pond, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more. So they're still having a swim around the pond. They're not completely inactive. The carp, as you'll see, come and explore around the camera a fair bit, and this is their usual behaviour when I put the camera in the pond, because they're quite conditioned to expecting some food. So not only they're quite active, they are looking for food as well. And that brings me to one thing I've noticed about the carp. They do look quite a lot slimmer, as I think you'll probably notice as well. And that's pretty typical for what they're like in winter. It's probably a little bit more obvious this year because of the problems of having a GoPro. Their health leading up to autumn, the leaf netting through all of autumn and into winter meant I did feed really cautiously because I couldn't really keep a good eye on them. So they're probably a little bit slimmer than they normally are, but they'll pick up once we get into spring and into summer. Now, I do feed a little bit through the winter, as I think I've said, but it's very small amounts and it won't have a big effect on their weight either way, to be honest. But I will keep filming through winter and I'll show you how they get on, especially when, hopefully, I get the new carp in the pond as well, because it'll be interesting to see how they react to that. The adult rudd are their usual cells, looking healthy and doing their circuits of the pond. The tench you may have seen briefly in a couple of clips within this video. She's pretty inactive at this time of the year, the most inactive of all the fish. She tends to like to find somewhere quite calm and quiet down at the bottom of the pond where she sees out winter. She will briefly explore the pond, but it's quite rare and far less than the rest of the other fish. Since getting in the pond to install the Tempest pipework, I've not seen any of the rudd fry, although handily with this footage I have spotted them. As you may see, they're at the back of the pond in amongst all the plants that are growing into the water, and that seems like quite a sensible place for them to congregate away from the other fish. Now, I had planned to cut those plants back when I cut the rest of the plants that are above the water. However, I think I'll change my mind. Now, the reason for that is, one, it seems like a nice safe place for them to hang out. Obviously there's new carp coming in and you can't really ever predict how carp are going to react to smaller fish, as I found out this year with the crucians. So it would be good to keep somewhere where they can go and hide. The other reason is those plants aren't going to grow a lot more now before spring. So that's another good reason for leaving them be. And also my main reason for cutting them back is because they collect a lot of detritus, which obviously then doesn't get to the filters. However, there won't be a lot of detritus in the pond between now and spring either. So all in all, I think I'll keep them there. Now, I may actually keep it completely and maybe just trim it back a little, but that will depend on how I can remove detritus from it or prevent detritus getting to it. But that'll be a little experiment for the spring. Now, speaking of detritus, the water looks pretty clear. Now, I can't give all the credit to the Tempest, I don't think. Having looked in the Tempest, there's not a lot of detritus in it, for one. And two, it's not been running that long. And three, well, this is the time of year when your water usually is pretty clear. January is usually a pretty good month for having nice crystal clear water. Now, if the water looks like this come summer, then I really will have to give a round of applause and all the credit to the Tempest. As I said though, I'll do a review of its performance when we get into the summer and I'll have a better idea of how well it's working. With no jobs being completed this week and the new fish absent, I turned my attention to future plans, not only for the pond but also the garden as a whole. So as I like doing spreadsheets, I've made a spreadsheet which will not only list what I need to buy but also keep track of anything I've bought along the way, as I can't really afford to buy most of the stuff I need for any one job in one go, so it helps me keep track of things. However, I have been thinking a lot lately of how much time I spend in the garden doing jobs, some of which I don't particularly enjoy, and how little time I spend in the garden actually enjoying it, enjoying the space and enjoying the pond. And I want to kind of reverse that a little bit over the next year or two. And I want to have a more positive experience in the pond, because sometimes, I don't know about you, I get a little fed up with all the maintenance and DIY and jobs I have to do. And it will be just nice to relax in the garden, enjoy the pond and enjoy the fish. So that's a bit of a priority over the next couple of years. So what I want to do when I do these projects is to have them quite future-proofed really, and sort of as maintenance-free as they can be, so that actually I'll put things right once and for all, because there's a number of problems in the garden that I just redo every year, and I would like to actually fix them once and for all, but we'll see how that goes, because I'm not great at gardening. But I'll show you some of those things as well as some of the pond things as I go along over the next couple of years. Now, a little bit of a short video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, it was planned to be a bit longer because I'd have more to show you. Hopefully you've enjoyed seeing the fish. This is the stuff I really like. I know I'm not alone in that, but it's not as popular as some of the other stuff. So I hope if you tuned in last week to see the Tempest stuff, that you tuning in and watching this stuff. I will do a few more clip videos coming up that are just underwater videos, because I think it might be a good idea to separate them from my main videos, especially if there's any large period of time when I'm not talking about anything else, because I think that might be a good idea. I'm also planning a new series that I've planned for a while, which will be entitled Unpopular Opinions. And I know what the first one's going to be. And again, I will release that separate to my main videos. So if you want to see some of them, let me know in the comment section below. So once again, Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.